I used to have a friend in my life who was the biggest believer that everything happens on an accident, everything's random, there is no deeper meaning to anything. And as someone who believes the complete opposite of it, I was very interested. I always wanted to have like a long conversation with her about it, talk about my side, hear her side, and see like why she thinks that. And maybe get her over to my side. I don't know. She was never interested in that. And that's okay. But recently I've been thinking about it quite a lot, and I don't have her in my life anymore to try to have that conversation. So, welcome to my TED Talk. Everything happens for a reason. I don't think I can actually pinpoint the exact moment when I believed that. I think I was always raised with that belief, but not necessarily like in my family. I always had it in me. So many things happen in my life since I can remember, and all of them have been an attest to that. But I guess also, if you're looking for something, you're gonna find it. I'm not gonna argue and be like, that's 100% the case because I know better than that. I don't think anyone can say that that's 100% the case or not the case because at the end of the day, we don't know. And that's so interesting to me because like about life in general, like we can have so many beliefs and so many things that we're gonna fight for, but we don't know if they're actually real or not. That is definitely one of those things, but I think in my reality and in my world, that is the case. Everyone is entitled to have their different experience of the world, and that's very beautiful. Hi, if you're new here, I'm Morph the Goddess, and this is the Good Girl Asylum podcast. Here, we just mainly talk about spirituality and just being a woman. So, if you feel like that's something you would like, welcome to the community. I really want to talk about some of the things that has happened to me throughout my life that has kind of proved to me more that this is the case. Um, there are so many things, so many small things, so many big, very emotional things. One of them that comes to my mind is when I got sick around 2 years ago. It was a really tough time. So at that point, I was working 6 days a week. I was working like 14-hour days on like Saturdays. I was a manager and I it was a lot of stress and all of that, but I was like working and I was always there and it was consuming my entire life. And I've always wanted to be a musician. That has always been my dream. But it has kind of been put on the back burner a little bit. I didn't have time that much for it. Like, I was working maybe 6 days, 7 days a week. And when I had a day off, I would go to the studio, but I was like, my brain was just like so not there. I didn't realize at that point, but the reason that I was working that much and I was always busy and I was never sitting down and resting, and even when I was sick, I would still like manage to go to work, was because I was so scared of being alone with my thoughts and with my traumas and with the memories. I had tried to go to therapy a few years prior to that, and I had a really bad experience. And I was like, fuck this. I'm just going to ignore anything in my life has happened. And that was my way of coping. I had been doing that for a while at that point. I was working there for 3 years, but the last 2 years of it had been like, going full on and all of that. And when I was traveling, I was maybe traveling like 3 times a year. And when I was traveling, I was basically planning every single day. These are the restaurants we're gonna go to. These are the fun places we're gonna go to. From this time and this time, we're gonna have fun. Like everything was planned to the point that, I'm never going to have a time of being on my own. And of course, that's not healthy. At that point, it was my coping mechanism. And then I got sick. I had been sick for a while. I have been having really serious stomach problems. I couldn't really eat food and struggling with an eating disorder, which is really hard for me to talk about. Not a lot of people know about it. I was struggling with that, and then I was having a lot of problems with my stomach, and it was going for a while. Like I would get sick and I would have to like stay home for 2 days because I couldn't do anything. I would end up in a hospital. I would be like, nope, I'm going back to work. And I kept that going for a while until I had lost a lot of weight. I was 52 and I was so proud of myself. That's very emotional to me to talk about. I was so proud of myself. And I remember people were commenting on like, you're so skinny. And I would be like, hell yeah. Hell yeah, I am, you know? I would take that as a compliment. I knew they didn't mean it in that way, but I was like, yes, I'm doing something right. And barely eating anything. And yeah, the most fucked up part is like when I look at the pictures of that time, I'm like, oh, I look so good and it's so fucked up. And I know that. But yeah, anyways, I was dealing with all of that, but then it reached like a certain point. I went on a vacation for 2 weeks. And at that point, all of my vacations has been like 3 days, 5 days, maximum a week. I've never been away from work for 2 weeks. The first week, we had so many plans and all of that. And the second week, we were so tired, we just relaxed. So mind you, I had a week that I was relaxing finally, and that had not happened for ever, honestly, right? So I had finally let my body rest a little bit, and the weather was nice there. The weather is always shit here, so that was helping my mood and everything, and it was obviously in a nice place. But then I came home, and I got sick because I had to go back to this, work, 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 work. Never a second to yourself, never a second alone. If you're not working, socialize. And I got even more sick. I ended up in the hospital. I remember so vividly. It was a Saturday. I had been at work. I was supposed to work for like 12 hours or something, and I was supposed to work 12 hours a day after. In the middle of my shift, I was like, oh, I feel horrible. It wasn't in the middle of my shift. I was there already for 8 hours. I remember it so, like, specifically. It was around 8 o'clock. I was feeling fucking horrible. I was like, okay, I need to go home. And it wasn't that busy, thankfully. So I went home and I was just like throwing up, feeling so bad. And I didn't have any food. I couldn't eat any food. And that went on for like 6 hours. Ended up at the hospital. They gave me a room and I was in so much pain. Like, I've gotten sick quite a lot in my life. That was something that I've never experienced. And it was a lot. And yeah, they were basically, like they were trying to like give me like something, some painkiller, and I was like, I can't keep this in. They ended up like, injecting. And I remember I was like on the floor in the room and I was like looking at my boyfriend and I was like, I'm gonna die in front of you. I'm going to die in front of you. And you're gonna be traumatized and you're never gonna be able to find anyone to be in a relationship with because you're traumatized by this. That's what I was thinking. That was my thought. I was like 100% sure that I'm gonna die. Anyways, they give me the painkillers and all of that, and I manage to sleep and I wake up and somehow all of it is gone. All of the pain is gone after 2 hours, whatever. I go back home and I go to work the day after and the day after. And then I see that, okay, it's not helping. I go and I get a sick leave for like 5 days, something like that. I end up even going to work sooner than my sick leave was done because I was like, no, I'm okay. Did that for 10 more days. After I got sick, basically, I had been getting so many flashes of memories. Like all of the things that I've been like suppressing for so many years and I've been like, putting it back. It doesn't exist. I've been like, I would sit here and I would randomly be like, holy shit, that happened to me. Holy shit, I also had to deal with this. Oh my fucking God, so that would happen to me. And that was happening since the night that I got sick, basically. But I kept going. And the day that was the last day that I went to work, I remember I had woken up and I just got reminded of a very specific memory and I was really mad at my family. And I remember being like in the shower and just thinking about that and being super triggered, like, how the fuck could they do this? How do they have the audacity to talk to me and all of that stuff? And then I don't remember anything. And then suddenly I remember just looking around and I was at work. So I had somehow gotten out of the shower, gotten ready, gotten dressed, walked to my work, and I had clocked in work and I had started and I've been working at that point for like 20 minutes. And I remember telling my boss, like, what have I been doing? And he was like, yeah, I mean, you clocked in and you've been taking orders and stuff. And I'm like, what do you mean? I called one of my colleagues to come work instead of me, and I talked to my doctor. I got a sick leave, and yeah, here we are 2 years later. Holy shit, this is a lot harder for me than I thought it would be. It was supposed to be a very lighthearted video, but here we are. Anyways, I was really confused of like, how did I not die? It's insane because I just like I felt it very deeply in my soul. That led me to start going back to therapy, start dealing with my traumas, and for a whole entire year I was basically at home, not socializing with anybody. So I learned to be with myself. I learned to sit with the traumas, not fight them, write about them, get mad, get angry, get emotional, cry, do all of that and kind of move on. Yeah, and with all of that happening, it was very eye-opening to me, to not pressure myself into socializing, to being with people, to not pushing it down, and not kind of working my body like a robot basically. And I started getting better with my eating. And I do genuinely believe that if that had not happened, I don't think I would be here today. And that's a bit insane to think about, isn't it? I don't think I would be here today because I think I would have gotten myself extremely sick physically with my eating disorder, and I wouldn't have been here today. So, to think about the fact that something like that would be a blessing, like, I feel like a lot of other people maybe would in that situation be like, fuck, why would this happen to me? So many other shit has happened to me in my life, and now I'm not gonna be able to do my job. I'm gonna have to sit at home and just like be on my own. And I used to be a very social person, but now I can't even deal with anybody. Like all of that, of course, it comes to your mind, but like, I think all of it happened for a reason, because I still have a lot of shit that I need to work on. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm still in the process of that, but like, I'm a lot healthier person than I was then. Even though that might not look like it from the outside, you know what I mean? Because to anyone else, it would be like, okay, she was working a full-time job and she was traveling and she was building her life, and now she hasn't been working and she's been, sick. That's how it looks like from the outside, but I don't think I had a lot more months of that in me before things would have been a lot worse. And that is one of the reasons why I do believe that everything happens for a reason. It's of course a darker, deeper one, but something that happened in the midst of all of those that was even more like the case and honestly mind-blowing to me. It was in the beginning of my sick leave and I was struggling a lot physically and a lot mentally. It was a lot. I don't want to get into details and trigger anybody. I should probably put a trigger warning at the beginning of this video, as a matter of fact. Midst of all of that, I was feeling really fucking horrible, and I wanted to go to the store with my boyfriend. We got to the store. We ended up in an argument because at that time I was really, really sensitive on my food and on anybody commenting on what I'm eating or what I'm not eating. It was very sensitive for me. So if anybody would make like the smallest comment that wasn't even meant in that way, I would just like lose it. But yeah, we were at the store. I was like, oh, fuck this. And I remember I just walked down and I was sitting on a bench for like, I don't know how long, for I was sitting there alone. And I was like thinking about how tired I am. And I don't think I can do this anymore. And I don't think my body can take this anymore. And after a little bit, I sent him a message. I was like, oh, I'm sorry. Can we go to the store? We went to the store, got like ham. I love ham. And I think maybe it started with me loving ham because it has very little calories and it has no carbs. But I do love it now. In a healthy way, I hope. But yeah, we bought some ham and some other tiny stuff, and we started walking back, and the store is very close, right? We started walking back, and I heard a meow, right? I hear it, and I hear it like it's really loud, keeps going, and I'm like, what is this, to my boyfriend? And I am the biggest cat lover. We had one cat at that point, and I'm always the person who's like, if I hear like a cat, I'm like, oh my god, I want to go pet that cat, So I was like, oh my god, like what is going on? He was like, oh, let's just go because he has dealt with me, always like wanting to bring other people's cat home. Because I think like they might be homeless. But I was like, no, this sounds like she is struggling. Like it was like non-stop meowing, really loud, really sad. And I was like, what is going on? Like what the fuck? And then we saw like the cat was like right next to us. I'm like, oh hi. And the cat runs towards us, and I was like, this cat looks so tiny. Like, is this a kitten? Why would anybody let a kitten out? Doesn't have a collar, nothing. We give her some ham, kind of feel like she's lost or something. She kind of looks like she's like not happy. Where we live, there are a lot of cats who, go out and go back in. My boyfriend was like, no, that's not the case. It's just like probably like a cuddle cat, whatever. We went home. And I told him, I was like, okay, I'm going back in a few hours. And if that cat's still there, I'm bringing that cat home. And then I'm taking it to the vet to see if the cat is chipped, right? We go back together. The cat is still there. We're like, okay, we try to get the cat home with us. The cat comes in, and my cat at that point, and he has never met another cat. And my cat starts hissing, and I've never seen my cat hiss. Like, my cat has been like the cutest little baby, one of those cats that you can pick up and squeeze and doesn't give a shit. And I was like, it starts hissing. I'm like, holy shit, okay. So we give the cat food and water, but we just let it go back outside. And we see that it's like sleeping outside of our door. And I'm like, oh my god, like that's so sad. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna wake up tomorrow, and if that cat is still there, because where she was originally wasn't that far. I was like, okay, if that cat's still there, I'm gonna go take it to the vet. I wake up and I see the cat is like under a car, like close to where she was before. She was so scared. She was trying to scratch. She would go hell airplane. Didn't want to get in a career. A random person helped me. And she realized that there has been like a missing thingy. But this cat looks so sad and like so scared. It's like, okay, how the fuck did you miss this cat? Like, it's right outside of their door. Anyways, finally I bring the cat home, our extra room. We find the owner. The owner doesn't want the cat anymore. We get the owner to take the cat to the vet, and that ends up being Bella, who we have had for 2 years now. We weren't supposed to keep her. We were supposed to keep her until we find a better family, but then we found someone and she turned out to be crazy. So I was like, hell no, I'm not giving you this cat. And she's been still here. All of this to say, that happened exactly in the beginning of when I was taking a sick leave. And I genuinely believe that she found me. I love cats, and I do believe that like they are very, very, very spiritual beings. And I feel like she found me because I had to take care of her at that point, and it very much took away the focus from I have to take care of myself. So it kind of gave me like a hope of, okay, you need to eat more, you need to do this so that you can take care of this cat. Doing that helped her and helped me. I do think that, it happened for a reason. I think it would have been a lot more of a hellish fucking time. I would have hated my life a lot more dealing with all of those times if I didn't have her, Another thing, had we not had that small argument in the store, we wouldn't have been out there to find her afterwards, So it's like so many little things and big things together. It's like all of it has happened for a reason. There are a lot more things that I can talk about that would kind of attest to this, that are not maybe as deep or as sad. If you want to hear more about it, let me know in the comments and I will make another video about it. I am supposed to talk about my life and my experiences to give hope to other people that if I manage, then you can, like if I could do it, you can do it too. All of the traumas that I've been through, especially as a kid, like they were not okay. I'm not trying to say in any way that like all of those traumas are okay that it happened because it happened for a reason. That's definitely not what I'm trying to say. I don't think anyone should have to go through it. And there is, of course, like a part of me that, if you want to think about it logically, yeah, maybe me or anybody else who believes everything happens for a reason, maybe we need to believe that. Maybe if I believed, like I think about it, if I believed right now that everything that happens is random and it happens on an accident, I don't think I would make it. I'm gonna be honest. Like my entire life, when I went through a lot of shit, I would be like, everything happens for a reason, you know. Everything, like I have been through so many bad stuff. I'm going to stay, and I'm going to, get what is my fucking like right. You know what I mean? I'm gonna get it because the universe, the world owes me because I've been through so much shit. But I'm gonna get it from them. I am gonna take that. You know what I mean? But if I think everything is random and an accident, I would just be like, okay, there's no hope for me then. Why the fuck am I doing anything? Why am I going through this? So of course, there is a part of me that thinks maybe that's a coping mechanism. It might be. But I think what's interesting is that first of all, it could be both. And second of all, you wouldn't know which one it is if it was one of them, you know? I think it could be both. It could be a part of it being a coping mechanism because I need to believe in something to keep going in my life. I think life would be easier for people who've been through a lot of shit if they would believe that everything happens for a reason. I do believe that because it's easier. You can tell yourself that, okay, like this happened for a reason, so something good's gonna happen. And with that thinking, you're gonna notice the good things that are gonna happen. At the end of the day, I think life is whatever we let it be. Because if you focus, like no matter of what the reality is, whether the reality is everything is random, whether the reality is everything happens for a reason, or whatever that it is, if you believe something, you're going to live by that. So that's going to become the reality. Like if I believe that everything happens for a reason, if something bad's gonna happen, that means that something really good is gonna happen. I'm looking for stuff in my life. I'm looking for opportunities in my life that are going to be positive, that maybe a person who thinks everything is an accident wouldn't be looking for it. And I'm gonna have a more positive mindset and a better mental health, honestly. And that is regardless of whether that's true or not. So I choose to believe that that's the case, and I think that's beautiful and it's interesting. And oh my god, I've been talking for 30 minutes nonstop. Thank you so much for watching this video. I didn't mean it to get this deep, but I'm happy about how it turned out, and I hope that this gives you the motivation that you need. And I see you in the next one.